Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Sith Lord, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Uchiha Sasuke frowned in his bed in the middle of the night, having yet to change into his sleepwear, and get out of his shinobi gear from doing training with his substitute sensei today. Personally, the Uchiha thought it was pointless, as only Kakashi was the only sensei he needed since the man had only a fully developed Sharingan in Konoha, and the man wasn't in the village. Hunting down a now labeled S-class criminal by the name of Uzumaki Naruto, the butcher of Lucky Sanctuary Orphanage, and kidnapper of shinobi from multiple villages. How someone Sasuke's age was able to even do that, the boy didn't know, but it was upsetting, and the last loyal Uchiha of Konoha wanted that kind of power. How could that no clan loser be so strong? Thought Sasuke, as he stared at the ceiling of his home, and grit his teeth in anger. Sasuke wanted that power. He needed it. All things in this world were meant to cater to his every whim and desire. This nobody of an orphan was getting stronger through leaps and bounds. Yet here he was, an elite among the Konoha's shinobi, being stuck with the rank of Genin, and unable to advance to Chunin due to the renegade blonde killing his third teammate. Itachi was already far ahead of him by this point in his life, and it had infuriated Sasuke knowing that his own power was nowhere near that level. Look at you, Sasuke, the last so-called great Uchiha of Konoha. Brooding, wallowing in his own anger, and thinking of how to make my power his own. How pathetic, said the voice of Darth Sage before the figure appeared from the shadows to see Sasuke leap off his bed in a fighting stance. You. Give me one good reason why I should kill you right now for entering my home uninvited, said Sasuke while the Sith chuckled in amusement. 1. I can give you several. First, I'm a shadow clone, not the original, and will dispel myself with ease. 2. You are nowhere near the level of the real me, and this shadow clone standing before you has more than enough skill to beat your body into the air at the hospital. 3. I have something that needs to be said, and only to you regarding your clan along with how Konoha treats its last loyal member, said Darth Sage while he just laughed at the Uchiha's angry expression. Then speak it. I command you to talk, said Sasuke before being thrown by an invisible power into a nearby wall while clutching his now constricting throat. You do not command me, Uchiha. I can easily crush you and let the village weep at the loss of losing such a pathetic child from an equally pathetic clan. Now either you behave or I'll break your neck before I leave you to die, alone, said Darth Sage while seeing the Uchiha nod slightly to indicate he would behave before the Sith released him. What is it you want to tell me? Said Sasuke hoarsely while rubbing his throat and gave a small glare at the blonde shadow clone. That the higher-ups are manipulating you. That they only want to see you succeed so they can get a return on the investment when you rise to the position of power they control. Haven't you found it easy to do everything at the academy? Hit every target, ace every test, and beat every instructor during a spar. You don't really think it's because you are an Uchiha, do you? Said Darth Sage while Sasuke grit his teeth. Of course it is. I'm an elite. I'm better than everyone in this village. Just like Itachi, said Sasuke while the Sith scoffed at him. Don't be so arrogant. It's pathetic to see such a thing coming off of you in waves. We both know the truth behind your past success at the Leaf Academy. They spoiled you to the point where even thinking outside the box is not possible and implanted the belief that everything should just be handed to you, said Darth Sage while Sasuke looked ready to attack, but the glare from the Sith made him stay where he was, and simply continue to scowl. Even if what you said is true, I can still gain power from him, and kill Itachi later on, said Sasuke with conviction in his voice while Darth Sage just let out a chuckle. Are you sure? Do you really think they will let the last of Uchiha clan in Konoha run off to kill his much older, wiser, and stronger brother? We both know Itachi can kill you easily. They know it too. Do you really think they won't pull something to ensure your bloodline continues before approving of such a mission? I think not, said Darth Sage with a smile on his face that was sly and all-knowing in a way the Uchiha didn't like one bit. They wouldn't dare, said Sasuke with the blonde-haired shadow clone of a Sith just smirking at him. Oh, they would. They would ensure multiple women carried your offspring so that way the chances of your bastard children successfully awakening the Sharingan eyes are far greater than just impregnating one woman. They'll send you off on your mission, playing it out dramatically, as the great hero of the Uchiha clan heads off to slay its villain, who is ironically your very own brother, and your poor children will be spoon-fed your tragic death about trying to revenge their forever lost family, said Darth Sage while Sasuke just sneered at him. You foreseeing the future or something? Said Sasuke while looking at him in disbelief. Or something. What do you care? You're the great Uchiha Sasuke. The shinobi elite. As you keep telling everyone, so this shouldn't bother you in the slightest, and just make this more fun for someone of your status. Said Darth Sage mockingly at him. Get out of my home. Said Sasuke angrily while the shadow clone mockingly bowed at him. As you wish, Uchiha-san. However, ask yourself this one little question after I leave, and reflect on the answer. If your clan wasn't killed, if Itachi hadn't done what he did, would the people of Konoha still be kissing your ass, and giving you whatever your selfish heart desired? Think about it, said Darth Sage before the shadow clone went, poof. And left the Uchiha alone to his own devices. He's wrong. They would give me what I want because I'm an Uchiha. A bloodline that is unmatched by these pathetic peons. The councils can continue to spoil me all they want, I have no reason to give anything back to them, and never will because the Uchiha do not give back anything. Why would we? Thought Sasuke, knowing that the Sith didn't know what he was talking about. In Whirlpool. Arrogant fool. Why Itachi spared him I'll never know, said Darth Sage while receiving the shadow clone's memories of his conversation between. It doesn't matter, my apprentice. Let the Uchiha continue to suckle on the breast of the village like the child he is and fail to see the truth that's right in front of him, said Darth Plagueis while his student nodded. Master, may I have a word with you please? Said Haku, as she approached him on his throne, and kneeled before the Sith. You may speak, said Darth Sage while seeing the girl look up at him now. I have just received word the envoy sent to Doto in Snow Country has returned and it sounds promising, said Haku seeing the Sith smile at this information. That is good news. But, said Darth Sage sensing there was more. Jiraiya of the Sanin's spies are sniffing around the company. If they learn the envoy has returned with important news you would go to learn about personally then, said Haku not even wanting to finish that statement while seeing the Sith nod in understanding. Then Jiraiya himself along with a massive strike team of Leaf Anbu would hunt me down regardless if they had the Hokage's approval or not. Still, this could work to our advantage, said Darth Sage thinking things over in his head. Master, said Haku seeing him thinking about how to handle this matter. Yes, this could work out for me rather nicely indeed, said Darth Sage letting out a sinister chuckle. But what about Taki? The eventual visit to Snow Country to see Doto? Said Haku, as she could see in his eyes that the Sith was going to delay those plans for this, and it didn't make sense. They can wait a little long, my dear. Besides, there is always a risk in what we do, and a Sith must do what he must for reaching one's goal, said Darth Sage knowing this was going to become hectic for him. They will hurt you. They will unleash unspeakable pain upon your person, said Haku, as she saw him nod, and didn't understand why he would do this. I know, Haku. Of course, I trust you along with the others will plan for my rescue, and save me from the leaf when the time is right. Darth Sage with a smile and saw her nod with loyalty to him practically overflowing from the Ice User's eyes. We will never abandon you, Sage Sama, said Haku knowing that the instant he was in Leaf's prison she was going to bust him out with all the fury her body could produce. While I am indisposed of in Konoha, you are in charge of the others, and I expect my planned rescue to produce a great deal of casualties for the Leaf, said Darth Sage while seeing the girl nod knowing whom among his subordinates would be chosen for that part of the rescue plan. Be careful, Sage Sama, said Haku while the Sith walked towards her kneeled form and patted the girl's head. See you soon, said Darth Sage before walking away from a saddened Haku. Gato Kanpani sometime later. Doto Sama was indeed eager to sell the chakra armor to us. His current problems with the rebels in Snow Country opposing his rule has cost him quite a bit of money, as he has been working on a special excavation project, and looking for something buried in the snow, said the envoy while addressing the Sith and chairman of Gato Kanpani privately. The news of Doto wanting to do business had surprised the envoy, which he stated in his report, and in his tone of voice when speaking to the young chairman. If anything, the envoy was expecting to return in pieces and basically telling the Sith that the tyrant in Snow Country said no. However, it seemed Lady Luck was on the man's side, and was able to return in one piece with good news to his employer. Tell him money is of no object to me. Set a price for the chakra armor. If he wants us to pay more, then haggle for a bit, and then agree to whatever price Doto makes. After we have the chakra armor, it is to go to our own technicians to ensure they are indeed the real deal, and after we confirm the chakra armor is in fact authentic, Haku will provide test subjects to make sure the equipment works, said Darth Sage before dismissing the man and ordered the envoy's carriage to take him on a private company ship heading for Snow Country. Jiraiya's here, said QB while the Sith mentally nodded. Welcome Jiraiya. Come to take me by yourself I see, said Darth Sage while the Sannin appeared from the one of the shadowy corners of the room. There is a team of 20 Anbu stationed all over the building. If you don't come quietly, we will fight you, and do a lot of damage to your company, said Jiraiya seeing the Sith smirk at him. And no doubt kill my loyal employees. Just like the Leaf did to the people of Whirlpool so many years ago, right Jiraiya? Said Darth Sage while letting out a chuckle at seeing Jiraiya scowl angrily at him. That won't happen if you surrender quietly without a problem, said Jiraiya while he saw his godson think this over. Very well. Let's go, said Darth Sage while smiling an all-knowing smile at Jiraiya, and it was making the Sannin uneasy. What are you up to, Naruto? You don't just surrender without a fight, and I know you're not a shadow clone, thought Jiraiya, as he looked for the boy's sword, but didn't find it on him, and put chakra suppression cuffs on Naruto before alerting the Anbu of the mission being successful. Haku, thought Darth Sage while using the Force to connect with his servant. Yes, Sage Sama, said Haku ready to follow his command. It's time, my dear. Inform our contact in the Fire Daimyo's court of me being taken to the Leaf Village by Jiraiya of the Sannin against my will under the threat of losing the lives of my employees, thought Darth Sage knowing she would carry it out immediately. You are fortunate the new Hokage favors you so much and wanting you brought back to Konoha unharmed, said Jiraiya at last before they were all in a secluded area with the 20 Anbu now waiting for further orders. I'll make sure to thank him at my trial. That is, if I am allowed to have a trial, and even participate in my own defense. Said Darth Sage while sensing the Anbu were unhappy with him and clearly wanted to slice him to pieces. You can try, but I seriously doubt the higher-ups will let you get away with the brutal killing of innocent people, and abducting shinobi from different villages, said Jiraiya while his godson just kept smirking. You'd be surprised what I can do, said Darth Sage while sensing the Anbu around him getting angrier with each passing second. I say we all have a go at the demon now. Why wait for a trial? We all know the QB brat is going to die in the end, said the Anbu captain wearing a hawk mask. That's true, Hawk, but we don't want to make him a martyr for the others to follow, and be a rallying cry against us when they eventually learn of his capture, said Jiraiya seeing them all reluctantly agree. You're too late, Jiraiya. Far too late, thought Darth Sage knowing the man was wondering where his sword lunar eclipse was and no doubt take it for study for possible duplication to empower the Leaf further. Fools. They were all arrogant fools. Fire Daimyo's castle sometime later. The Fire Daimyo was in a session of court today, meeting with family, both of blood, and in-laws that proved worthy of marrying to the family. Then there were his friends of his other family members, their children, and then the other higher society types that attend for the sake of getting the feudal lord's attention. Some of the guests in his court were other feudal lords from other countries, wishing to speak to him about trade, and politically arranged marriages. They would get the occasional conversation with him, kissing his feet in return for influential favor, which the man didn't really like, and didn't want to be a walking favor machine being asked for the slightest bit of help in exchange for such false flattering. Fire Daimyo Sama, said the business representative assigned by the chairman of Gato Kanpani to be the company's voice at the feudal lord's court, approached the regal man before being repelled by two of the samurai guarding their lord. Yes, Toshi Takeda-san. Said the Fire Daimyo seeing the representative bow before him with a grave urgency in his eyes that wasn't there before. My lord, I must speak to you of a great travesty, an grave injustice that has befallen the chairman of Gato Kanpani at the hands of Konoha shinobi just a few hours ago at the company itself, said Toshi Takeda, as he saw the Fire Daimyo raise an eyebrow, and motioned his guards to let him pass before the representative bowed before the feudal lord. What travesty! What injustice! Said the feudal lord, as he wondered what the Leaf had done now, and after just giving them all a warning with their newly appointed Godime Hokage. Our chairman was just taken against his will by Jiraiya of the Sannin back to Konoha and was told to cooperate or risk the lives of the employees working at Gato Company. We don't know why, but before his arrest, the chairman asked for you to intervene in some way, and possibly witness the impending trial against him, said Toshi, as he saw the Fire Daimyo frown, and considering the request. Considering the actions of the Leaf Village recently, I'm inclined to agree that I should be present to ensure Konoha plays by my rules, and not make an even greater mess of things. Who is the chairman of Gato Company? Said the Fire Daimyo curiously. Officially, the current chairman's name was to be kept anonymous to protect his identity after the incident in Wave Country with his predecessor, but considering the situation at hand, I feel it is now prudent to inform you that the chairman of Gato Company is Darth Sage, and at one point went by another name. Uzumaki Naruto, said Toshi before the feudal lord surprisingly looked angry and hoped the chairman's faith in the Fire Daimyo intervening being misplaced. What? They dare do this to me again? Are you certain it was Jiraiya of the Sannin that took him away? Said the Fire Daimyo seeing Toshi nod. His loyal assistant by the name of Haku witnessed it with her own eyes. Several other employees will testify if necessary of seeing masked shinobi with leaf headbands poking around the company. She informed me of this immediately and has requested your help to prevent any further harm to our chairman, said Toshi with the feudal lord in front of him getting angrier by the minute. Oh, I will intervene on this matter, Toshi-san. Make no mistake about that. Guards, said the Fire Daimyo seeing the two samurai stand at attention. Yes, Daimyo-sama, said the two guards at the same time. Prepare my carriage and an fully armed escort. No, a full-armed battalion of only my very best samurai will accompany me to Konoha, said the Fire Daimyo loud enough for everyone to hear while other representatives from other countries like Wind were already moving to inform their leaders of this event. Konoha Hokage Tower. You did what? Said Asuma looking at Jiraiya with furious anger while his father was smirking at the victory the Leaf had won over the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. We caught Naruto and had him transferred to INT for the information on his primary base to acquire the others, said Jiraiya knowing the boy would crack under Ibiki's not-so-gentle care. And how many people know you've done this? Said Asuma seeing Jiraiya shrug. Aside from the Anbu that I recruited for this mission. You, me, Sensei, Inoiki, and Ibiki, said Jiraiya while the Godime Hokage looked ready to explode in anger. How long has it been since Naruto's return and being sent to Ibiki? Said Asuma with the Sannin once again shrugging. Not long. I'd say an hour. At the very least, said Jiraiya while Asuma's anger became even greater. You're playing a dangerous game, Jiraiya. He could unleash Kyuubi at any moment, said Asuma with his father smirking. Jiraiya sealed away Kyuubi before taking Naruto to Ibiki, said the former Sandaime Hokage while Jiraiya frowned. Actually, I didn't, said Jiraiya while his sensei was completely shocked along with Asuma. You didn't, said Asuma and Hiruzen at the same time. Well, it's not like I didn't try, but every time I did, my body was instantly repelled back by some kind of invisible energy coming off of Naruto, and it sent me into a wall before sending me through it on my third try. The Anbu around me tried to knock him out so I could do the sealing that way, but they were repelled too, and Naruto just smiled like it was some kind of joke until we gave up, said Jiraiya seeing the two were surprised by this. Could it be the Kyuubi? Said Hiruzen while Jiraiya shook his head no. I didn't feel the fox's chakra being used by Naruto at all. It was something else entirely, said Jiraiya while unsure what it was that repelled him in the first place. It made the Sannin uncomfortable. INT department with Naruto. Darth Sage smiled at Ibiki standing in front of him while the Sith himself was sitting in a chair, arms tied, and cuffed with chakra suppression seals behind his back. The scarred-faced man dressed in black looking at him with a deathly serious expression on his face, as he attempted to crack the boy's head open figuratively, and get the information about the lost shinobi pilfered during the Chunin exams. The head of the Interrogation and Torture Division of Konoha found himself facing quite the challenging foe since he was not expecting a child to be so immune to his tactics. Full-grown adults sitting in the kid's position would be pissing themselves right about now, spilling their most deepest, darkest secrets to him, and become crying babies wanting their mommies. But this kid just smiled. No fear, no sense of fright, just a smile. Inoiki wasn't much help either, as the clan head tried to dive into the boy's head, clearly knowing the risks of entering the mind of a Jinchuriki, and what the demon in their heads could do. However, The man was repelled upon making contact, and sent flying back into his own head with a killer headache. Inoiki tried again 2 more times, but the boy just repeated the process, and after the 3rd time had nearly made the Yamanaka clan head get knocked unconscious before taking him to get medical treatment. "You're good kid. I'll give you that much," said Ibiki while wishing Anko was here since his number 2 in this division would be testing his pain levels physically. But she wasn't since Naruto had chosen to kidnap her too. "My master trained me well," said Darth Sage at last, knowing Ibiki would be curious about his master. "Clearly. Shame he's not here. I'd love to meet him to compare notes," said Ibiki while the Sith just chuckled. "He's already here. In this room actually," said Darth Sage, making Ibiki raise an eyebrow at him. "You mean the QB?" said Ibiki while the chuckle from the boy increased. "Now that would be telling Ibiki-san, and I really am enjoying myself," said Darth Sage mockingly, and seeing Ibiki's hands become fists. "You can't keep this up forever. You know that, right kid? How long can you stay awake before nodding off? How long can you go without eating? Sooner or later, your body will weaken, and then things won't be so nice," said Ibiki with Naruto just once more laughing at him. "You're assuming I'm going to be staying that long," said Darth Sage while Ibiki frowned at him with confusion. "Oh really? And just how exactly did you come to that little conclusion?" said Ibiki with a hint of amusement in his voice. "Because the Hokage's Anbu is going to come through that door any moment now and ask for me to be brought to him for my trial," said Darth Sage while Ibiki smirked at the boy. "You have quite the imagination, kid," said Ibiki before a knock came to the door and the head of I&T opened it to see an Anbu of captain rank with a Neko mask behind it. "I'm here for the prisoner." "Hokage's orders," said Neko, seeing Ibiki looking slightly baffled yet angry. "He hasn't told me anything yet. Come back later," said Ibiki while trying to shut the door, but Neko kept it firmly open, and he could sense the Anbu glaring at him. "This is not a request, Ibiki. It's an order. I'm to escort Uzumaki Naruto to the Hokage, the councils, and the clan heads for his trial." "No excuses," said Neko while Ibiki reluctantly nodded his head and brought the boy to his feet. "Move your ass, boy. And pray to Kami you don't come back here to see me after the trial," said Ibiki, shoving Naruto towards the Anbu captain. "I don't have to pray to Kami for that, Ibiki. I know I won't be coming back to see you," said Darth Sage while walking with Neko towards the meeting area where his so-called trial was to take place. "Hokage Tower trial room. He's here," said Asuma, sensing the pulse of chakra from the Anbu captain Neko to signify she had arrived with Naruto. "Why are we even having this trial? We all know he's guilty," said Homura angrily while glaring at the door. "Enough. We are having this trial and that's final. Bring in the defendant," said Asuma to the Chunin by the door and waited for Neko to enter and bring in the boy. "Here's the boy per your orders, Hokage-sama," said Neko, bowing to the 5th Hokage and moved to the wall to watch the proceedings herself. "Did Ibiki get anything out of him?" said Koharu while glaring at the boy. "No," said Neko simply while many on the council sputtered about the boy, proving he was indeed the very demon they hated. "Enough. This is a trial and you will all act professionally here in my presence." "Got it," said Asuma, seeing them grumble, but nonetheless nod their heads, and saw the boy in front of them just smirk. "They are so pathetic. Don't you agree, my master?" thought Darth Sage while the spirit of the Moon Sith Lord nodded in agreement. "Their arrogance is indeed sickening," said Darth Plagueis while watching things from his student's eyes. "Uzumaki Naruto, you are charged with murdering the matron, her assistants, and even the children of the local orphanage, along with the murder of a Leaf shinobi by the name of Sai. You are also charged with kidnapping of Leaf, Iwa, Kumo, and Grass shinobi for your own use against their home villages. How do you plead?" said the Godime Hokage while watching his father out of the corner of his eye, looking at Naruto like he was the worst thing in existence. "Not guilty to all charges," said Darth Sage, seeing several members of the councils ready to explode in protest and call him names. Only a glare from Asuma told them to shut their mouths. "I see. Do you have anything to say in your defense?" said Asuma, seeing the boy shrug. "What can I say? My so-called jury to the left and right of you have already declared me guilty simply for being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. My life has been made miserable by the people in power around you, and now I'm expected to get a fair trial from those very same individuals in this room," said Darth Sage smoothly while Asuma himself had to admit the basis for not receiving a fair, unbiased ruling was accurate. "Still, I'd like to hear your version of things regarding the charges, and if there is anything to dispute the accusations against you, said Asuma, seeing the boy was completely calm. For one, I don't see how you can pin the death of so many people in Konoha on me. Is there any proof I killed them? Said Darth Sage, while seeing the council seeing red and knew they couldn't hold out being denied speaking against him. We know you killed them, demon. Your scent was in that building around the time of the killings. Said a fat merchant from the civilian council. So, I lived in that place for several years. Naturally, my scent is going to linger there no matter what happens, and if all you have is my scent, then I ask the charges be dropped due to lack of any other evidence, said Darth Sage, with the councils pounding their fists in protest. Out of the question. You murdered those poor innocent civilians, said the pink-haired woman on the civilian council. And there is also Sai from Genin Team 7 being killed in Wave Country, said Danzo, as he saw the boy shrug, and looked at them with uncaring eyes. Is there any proof that I did? A weapon in my possession that was used to kill this boy named Sai, said Darth Sage, while inwardly enjoying seeing the people around him get angrier with every passing second. You killed Sai with your demonic sword. A black sword rumored to be sharp enough to slice through a tree with just one swing, said Homura, with Naruto raising an eyebrow at them. A sword? What sword? Jiraiya-san knows I didn't have one in my possession upon my arrest. Doesn't it stand to reason that such a weapon you claim is such high quality be on my person at all times? Said Darth Sage, while Danzo fumed at him while Jiraiya shook his head to indicate he didn't find a weapon on the Sith. You must have stashed it somewhere. Where is it? Said Koharu, seeing the boy just shrug. I have no idea because I do not possess such a weapon, said Darth Sage, while seeing them unable to do much else on the subject. What about the charges regarding the kidnapping of shinobi from different villages during the Chunin exams the Leaf hosted this year? Said Asuma, smirking at them. That's easy. I didn't kidnap them. They joined me of their own free will, said Darth Sage with a smile on his face. You lie. My daughter would never join you, said Hiashi, his eyes active and glaring in an intimidating manner. And yet she's no longer in the village, said Darth Sage casually, while Hiashi looked livid. Because you are holding my daughter against her will, said Hiashi, with his voice rising in anger. Hiashi, please. Naruto, we know you took several genin from Konoha, and several other shinobi from different villages. Where are they? Said Asuma, trying to be the reasonable individual here. Safe. Safer, healthier, and stronger than they ever were in this village, said Darth Sage, while the majority of the people in this room looked ready to shoot fire jutsus from their mouths at him. Give me back my daughter, said Hiashi, rising from his chair and ready to cripple the boy with gentle fist strike should the Sith give the answer they wanted. Oh, now she is your daughter. Now, she is of importance to you. From what Hinata has told me about her home life, you never cared about her well-being, and focused more on the second daughter of your family. What was it you called her? Oh yes, I do believe the quote I'm looking for would be, you worthless child. Hanabi shows more potential now than you ever did. Get out of my sight now. If you don't improve, I'll put the cage bird seal on your forehead myself and have Hanabi use it on you every single day until you show that you're not a failure of the clan, said Darth Sage, while seeing Hiashi's face go through a mixture of emotions at the moment. You bastard, said Hiashi, while the Sith just smiled at him. How is that my fault? Those are your words, aren't they? Hinata told me, and I in turn am simply repeating them for everyone else to hear. Though something tells me you won't be getting the Father of the Year award anytime soon, said Darth Sage, while Hiashi tried to charge forward to strike the blonde boy down, but Neko had stopped him, and the Sith just watched with amusement. What about the others, Naruto? Rock Lee, Tenten, the Grass Shinobi, then 3 shinobi from Kumo, and just recently you acquired Iwa's 2 Jinchuriki, said Asuma after Neko was able to get Hiashi back in his seat. I fought Rock Lee one-on-one with the winner deciding the loser's future. He lost. I won. As for Tenten, she was ambitious given her desire to be one of the strongest kunoichi of all time like Senju Tsunade, and I provided her with the means to do it, said Darth Sage before the door to the room was thrown open and the fire daimyo came in with a face that a blind man could see was filled with anger. How dare you? What were my instructions regarding the boy? I specifically stated he was to be left alone. What part of my orders did all of you not understand? Said the fire daimyo, seeing them cowering like scolded children. The daimyo of Fire Country, I presume, said Darth Sage, seeing the feudal lord turn to face him with a sympathetic smile on his face. You presume correctly, Naruto. My sincerest apologies for this action against you. How have they been treating you since arriving here? Said the fire daimyo while seeing the boy's hand still behind his back while sitting in the chair. I can't really complain since I've been treated better than usual. Of course, I've also been treated worse, and find myself in the middle right now, said Darth Sage while the clearly angry feudal lord turned his full attention to the people in the room trying to persecute him. This farce of a trial is now over. Do you understand me? I will not tolerate any of you defying my orders again. If you go against me one more time, then the Leaf Village will be liquidated, and none of you will be lived to see what comes from the ashes, said the fire daimyo seeing them nodding obediently. Am I free to go? Said Darth Sage while looking at the fire daimyo. Yes, said the fire daimyo before motioning for Neko to undo the restraints placed on the boy. Daimyo-sama, this boy is a Jinchuriki. He must remain in Konoha for the good of the village, said Danzo while trying to get the man to stare in his direction so the hidden Sharingan could manipulate the highest authority in the land. Only to feel an incredible amount of pain from the optical nerves of the implanted organ and had to fight back the sudden level of pain. Fool. You think I'm going to let you manipulate him? Only I can do that, thought Darth Sage, as he read Danzo's mind to figure out his plan, and quickly used the force to attack the inferior oblique muscles followed by the inferior rectus muscles to cause a spasm to disrupt his control. Considering how the Leaf has treated him from the start, it would be in the best interest of Konoha if he didn't stay in the village, and cause bodily harm to its people, said the fire daimyo seeing them all nod despite the reluctance showing in their eyes for letting the matter being dropped against their will. This isn't over. Once my root forces are in position, they will take the QB brat, and remove the demon to a more submissive host, thought Danzo, as he cursed this sudden pain in his implanted, and made a mental note to call upon one of his personal doctor to take a look at the eye. Thank you so much for your help, Daimyo-sama. I had this feeling the Leaf was going to cause unspeakable evil upon my person had you not shown up, said Darth Sage, as he walked with the fire daimyo to the man's carriage, and saw the feudal lord smile back at him. I trusted the Sandaime Hokage along with those in power to do what was right regarding your situation, Uzumaki Naruto. I truly do apologize, said the fire daimyo seeing the Sith bow his head slightly at him. I understand, Daimyo-sama. I have no intention of holding this against you, said Darth Sage while sensing the daimyo in front of him was indeed sincere and didn't think like the former Sandaime Hokage did. I'm glad to hear it. Any matter you wish to bring to my attention, whether business with Gato Kanpani or something more personal, I am willing to lend my ear, said the fire daimyo before shaking the Sith's hand and got into his carriage before battalion followed him back to Fire Country's capital. You think you're so smart, don't you, Naruto? Said Jiraiya appearing behind the blonde boy. I don't know, Jiraiya-san. How smart do you think I am? Said Darth Sage before turning to face the Sannin and saw the man was less than pleased. I think you're smart enough to fool a very naive fire daimyo, but not me, and certainly not the others in that room. We both know you killed those people at the orphanage, killed Saiyan Wave, and are guilty of kidnapping shinobi from all over, said Jiraiya while the Sith in front of him just smirked. I told you how those 3 Leaf shinobi came into my possession, Jiraiya. As for all the other shinobi I acquired, well, they did sign waivers before entering the Forest of Death, and since they aren't from the Leaf you have no official standing to arrest me for those, said Darth Sage while walking away from the Sannin before being stopped by a large group of Root Anbu with the former Sandaime leading them. You're not leaving, said Hiruzen while glaring at the boy. Didn't we just have this conversation with the fire daimyo? Said Darth Sage mockingly at the former Hokage. We have many ways of making people and things like you go missing without the fire daimyo knowing, said Hiruzen seeing the boy just chuckle at him. This is your one warning, old man. Do not do this. It is unwise to provoke what you do not understand, said Darth Sage, as he sounded deadly serious, and felt the dark side of the force flowing through him. I understand plenty, Naruto. I understand you are going to pay very heavily for what you have done and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Take him, said Hiruzen pointing at Naruto, and the boy scowled at them. Old fool. You've already lost and don't even know it, said Darth Sage before thrusting his hand back and using the force to push Jiraiya into a nearby building. The army of Root Anbu charged him, but were instantly struck by thousands of senbon needles, bone spikes, and a barrage of many pointy projectile weapons that pierced their flesh that resulted in immediate kills. Turning to his right, Sarutobi Hiruzen saw the form of three face-covered figures standing in the trees glaring daggers at him, and the blonde Jinchuriki just watched with amusing interest. Care to try again, you old bastard? Said Kimimaro, glaring daggers through his mask at the former Hokage. We won't allow you to harm our master. Said Haku, her sayus already out. Still think you understand me? Said Darth Sage, while Jiraiya got himself out of the building and saw the third member of the boys back up with surprise. You're Tenten from Mito Guy's Genin Team 9. Said Jiraiya, seeing the girl nod and wished he could read her face behind the mask she now wore. Former Genin student of Mito Guy, said Tenten, as she saw the disbelief on the former Hokage's face, and Jiraiya too, since they never expected her to abandon Konoha. What did you do to her? Said Hiruzen while glaring at the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Who? Me. Nothing. I just showed Tenten the simple truth behind Konoha's so-called greatness and how it was built upon lie after lie after lie, along with all the bodies of my family on my mother's side. Said Darth Sage while the Toad Sannin and former Hokage scowled at him. I don't know how you found out about that, but I'm going to have Jiraiya remove it from your mind, and we're going to start from scratch in making you a proper Jinchuriki, said Hiruzen, taking a step forward, but a sharp pain at his waist stopped him, and the former Hokage of Konoha looked down to see a dark shadowy blade sticking out. Difficult to do when you're now paralyzed from the waist down, said Darth Sage, as he saw Tenten throw Lunar Eclipse from her spot, and knew the girl had completely turned to his side given the fact the forged weapon of the dark side had allowed her to do that. Sensei, said Jiraiya, trying to get to his fallen teacher, but was blasted away by Sith lightning before he could, and sent flying back. This isn't over, Naruto. Sooner or later, you will pay for your crimes against Konoha, said Hiruzen while the boy walked behind him and yanked the sword out harshly. Just as you will pay for your crimes against me and my family, old man. When the time comes, all your secrets and lies will be made known to the world. I can only imagine the fallout from such things coming to light. How will you explain it? Or will you just kill yourself like a coward so such an explanation is never made possible? Said Darth Sage into the man's ear and then laughed at the former Hokage in a mocking way. Uzumaki, bastard child, said Hiruzen while the boy behind him just smirked. Desperate and hollow words from a cowardly old man, said Darth Sage before walking away from the downed man while Jiraiya moved to protect his sensei from further harm. This isn't over, Naruto, said Jiraiya, seeing the boy just keep walking. By the Fire Daimyo's own decree, it is over, Jiraiya. Just walk away from this if you truly value your life, said Darth Sage while the Sannin just continued to glare at the boy. We'll see about that, thought Jiraiya before taking his sensei to the hospital to have the man treated. Your timing perfect, Haku. As it was yours, Kimimaro, said Darth Sage while seeing the two nod and sensed they were pleased with his praise. And me, Sage-sama, said Tenten while the boy stopped and looked at her for a second. Ah yes, Tenten. You also did well. Your aim with those weapons was impeccable. I am pleased to know your true loyalties lie not with the leaf, said Darth Sage before he continued walking with the three following behind him. I am honored to be in your service, Sage-sama, said Tenten while sensing Haku's eyes were still watching her carefully for any signs of betrayal. Chidori was what came next, as a black blur came at them with a ball of lightning that sounded like 1,000 chirping birds, and was aimed at the Sith. Only to hit Tenten in his place, as she acted like a shield, and took the blunt of the attack for her master. At this moment, two things to happen. First was seeing the weapons girl's loyalty belonged to Darth Sage without question, and didn't need to consider any attempts of betrayal on her part. The second was the identity of the would-be assassin, which was none other than Uchiha Sasuke himself, and his Sharingan eyes blazing with fury. I've killed your weak pawn, said Sasuke with a smirk on his face before throwing the girl onto the ground. Funny. She doesn't look dead, said Darth Sage while seeing the girl trying to survive against the assassination jutsu. Scowling, Sasuke took out a kunai to finish the job, but found himself unable to move, and realized the blonde was somehow responsible for it. Trying to glare at the Sith with all his hatred, Sasuke tried to fight this strange power, and failing in the process before being thrown harshly into a nearby tree. Esa, ma, said Tenten, as she looked up at her master, and saw him stare down before putting a hand on the hole in her chest. You've proven yourself yet again, Tenten, said Darth Sage while doing what he did for Haku when this happened to her in Wave Country. Thank you, my master, said Tenten, as she slipped into unconsciousness, and was picked up by the blonde Sith before they continued their long walk away from Konoha. Why did you not kill the foolish Uchiha back there, Sage Sama? Said Kimimaro, as he would have done it himself, but the albino Kaguya got the impression to stay his hand, and just follow the Sith back to Whirlpool. It's too early in the game to kill the Uchiha right now, Kimimaro. I want him to know to see the painful truth before meeting his end, said Darth Sage, simply knowing he would kill the Uchiha when the time was right. And not a day, hour, minute, or second sooner. Darth Sage sat in deep meditation, the dark side of the Force swirling around him like a massive whirlpool of energy, which was ironic given how the base of operations was a country with such a name, and felt the spirits of his kin calling out to him. The echoes of their cries for blood to be spilled against the betrayers, and while sensing satisfaction in what had happened so far, it wasn't enough. Nowhere near enough. Of this, the young Sith of Uzumaki descent knew to be true as well, and wanted to stick it to Konoha once more. The question that followed in his mind was, how? Sage Sama, said Karen, as she cautiously approached the Sith. Her sensory abilities had almost overloaded in seeing the massive amount of dark energy, and knew it was times like these to stay away from the Jinchuriki's personal space. What is it, Karen? Said Darth Sage while keeping his eyes closed and focusing on the Force. I am pleased to report Han, Roshi, Simui, Hinata, and myself have returned from our mission successful in retrieving Fu from Taki, said Karen, as she had been assigned to find the village with Hinata and Fu before convincing the seven-tailed Jinchuriki that life could be better under the Sith's rule. It had not been an easy thing to do. Fu had fought them using basic guerrilla warfare tactics, but such ways of fighting didn't prove helpful against Hinata or Karen with their sensory abilities. Han, Roshi, and Simui were the muscle of the group meant to keep her under control should a fight break out. In the end, Han had made a thick steam manifest itself around them in the forest, and forced Fu into a corner where Hinata had disabled the female Jinchuriki before heading home to Whirlpool. By the time Fu had awakened, she found herself in a nice comfortable room, and yet felt no less safe here. To ensure she didn't get out of hand while staying here, it was agreed by Yugito, Han, and Roshi that they would keep an eye on her with Hinata's help. I know. I sensed her arrival with your group soon after my own. Most impressive. Still, I had hoped she would have come of her own volition like the others, and not be kidnapped from Taki, said Darth Sage while looking at her with calculating eyes while Karen kept her head down to keep the fear of being punished from him. We tried to convince her like you ordered, Master, but Fu has trust issue, and didn't want give your offer a chance, said Karen while sensing his disappointment, and she knew why that was. There was a chance Fu could escape, use her demon's chakra, and basically give away their entire location to his enemies in the Leaf if not the Akatsuki organization. I know you did. Still, I would prefer not to have one of my fellow Jinchuriki fight me over this, as it wastes my time, and the time of the others in dealing with her too, said Darth Sage while speaking in a cold tone that told Karen that she was on thin ice. We are being civil, my master. She's just not returning it, said Karen, as she sensed the darkness swirl around him more violently, and winced at feeling its tendrils whip near her face. She's a Jinchuriki, Karen. Like me. She most likely doesn't respond to civility because her trust in people was broken a long time ago by those that pretended to be civil, said Darth Sage, as he rose to his feet, and walked past the frightened Karen. With Fu. Let me go, said Fu, as she struggled against the much larger Han with Yugito at the door of her room while Roshi and Hinata were outside to ensure the green-haired girl didn't run. We cannot. This base is secret for a reason. If you get out and use your powers, then the Akatsuki will find us, and will make things worse, said Han while hoping the girl had heard of the organization. Bring 'em on. I'm not afraid of them, said Fu seeing Yugito narrow her cat-like eyes back at her. Listen here, girl, these guys hunting Jinchuriki don't mess around, and they won't civil to you like we are right now. They would lock you in a cell until it was time to extract your demon and then throw away your corpse once it was over, since the extraction would kill you, said Yugito while Fu looked shocked at this. And what about you guys? Why are you suddenly getting people like us together, and who is calling the shots? Said Fu before the door opened and Yugito turned to see the robed blonde boy with whisker marks enter. Master, said Yugito and Han before bowing in his presence. Han. Yugito. Leave us, said Darth Sage in a neutral tone while Han put Fu down and left with Yugito. You're the boss of them. The infamous Darth Sage everyone is talking about like you're some kind of bogeyman. said Fu while surprised and unimpressed by this. I am, said Darth Sage while waiting for her reaction at his confirmation. Why did you kidnap me? Said Fu while holding back the urge to rip his head off. That was a last resort. My subordinates I sent pulled to bring you here. They were first ordered to convince you to come of your own free will before doing something like that. However, their motives were pure, and cannot be faulted for it, no matter how much I want to, said Darth Sage, as he moved from his spot in front of the door near the dresser, and mirror behind it. Why? Said Fu, knowing her demon could tell if he was lying. For the most part, to protect you from the Akatsuki organization and stick it to Taki for their treatment of you, said Darth Sage while Fu closed her eyes for a brief second. You're like me. You're a Jinchuriki too, said Fu while the Sith nodded. Correct. Like you, it was not by choice, and the villagers in Konoha didn't care whether it was or not. All they saw when looking at me was Kyuubi, said Darth Sage while Fu's eyes widened. So the rumors are true. I heard you've been raising all sorts of hell for most of the major villages in the Akatsuki by defeating 2 of its strongest members in a fight, said Fu while actually sounding impressed. I can't take all the credit. Kimimaro fought Kisame and I fought Itachi, said Darth Sage while Fu still looked impressed. One doesn't just fight Itachi and walk away from it. He is a missing nin for a reason, said Fu with the Sith nodding in agreement. Of course. Still, I do what I must for the sake of my fellow Jinchuriki, and those like us who've been wronged badly by others. People like us constantly seek a purpose with the unique talents and skills when they have nothing. I am providing what others would deny us simply because of what we are, said Darth Sage while seeing Fu was becoming more comfortable with him. So what is your overall plan then? Said Fu curiously while the Sith just chuckled. Oh, that would be telling, my dear, and I'm not about to tip my hand so soon when your loyalty has not been assured. For all I know, you could escape from here, tell your village about us, our plans, tell the other villages, and have them breathing down our necks with the Akatsuki doing the same. Do you know the chaos, bloodshed, and death that would bring to my doorstep? As much as I'd love for that to happen in general, I would prefer it not occur here, and it be on my terms for when it actually did, said Darth Sage seeing the girl frown at not being told something. Say I join you. What's in it for me? Said Fu, as she wanted to know the risks that came with joining, and the benefits too. Sanctuary. Getting stronger. A chance to bond with your fellow Jinchuriki and become a part of something greater, said Darth Sage while listing each one off with his fingers. And what do I have to do in order to have this generous bounty? Said Fu, as she had met people speaking false promises, and paid for her nativity several times. Your loyalty. Nothing more. Everyone here has more freedom, happiness, and overall strength than they ever could in their old village. In return, they give me their undying loyalty, and things have never been better, said Darth Sage, but could see Fu was still skeptical, and didn't want to buy what he was selling just yet. That's a lot to ask of me, you know, said Fu seeing the Sith nod. True. But what I'm offering in return is far more than what anyone else will give you in my place. Even more so once they learned of your hidden status. Don't think people won't learn of it. All the shinobi villages, as well as the Akatsuki, have spies everywhere, and will sell you out the moment they learn you're a Jinchuriki, said Darth Sage. He saw Fu reluctantly agree that was true, and nodded her head at that. Can I at least get an idea of what your plan is? Said Fu, wanting to know about her new home and what this guy's purpose was. Of course. Sit down. Relax, said Darth Sage, as he brought a chair to his hand, and sat down in it while Fu went for the bed. It was going to be a long conversation. Akatsuki HQ. This is most disturbing, said Conan, as she recounted what Itachi had told the group with Pain beside her, and what the Sith did in Tsukuyomi with that strange being the boy called a master. Yes, it is. To think there was another Uzumaki out there, doing what we are doing, but in a different, and far more ambitious way, said Pain while in deep thought. What are you thinking, Pain? Said Conan while looking around for any kind of sign that Uchiha Madara was snooping around. I'm thinking we should help my fellow Uzumaki with his goal, said Pain while Conan looked at him with surprise etched on her face. Help him. But. Why? Said Conan, as she saw Pain smile at her, and wondered what was going on inside his head. Because we are both fighting for peace, Conan. Already he has done more in such a short time than we have since forming the organization after taking control of Am. Even now a majority of the Jinchuriki are under his control, the villages are being defanged with the exception of one, and even then I imagine Suna is in the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's pocket. Yet at the same time, we are both taking different paths to reach overall peace, and currently on opposing sides. Eventually, our two sides will collide in conflict, and we will clash violently. Why waste our resources fighting, when we could work together, and speed up the process of finally achieving peace in the elemental countries, said Pain while Conan nodded at the idea of working with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. It may prove difficult to get an audience with him if we ever find the location of his base outside of the company he runs, said Conan, knowing any meeting Pain had with the boy had to be away from Madara's prying eyes. There were very few and rare places throughout the elemental countries that Madara did not go. Find a way, Conan, said Pain, as he could use this boy's path over his own, and thwart Madara at the same time. Yes, Pain-sama, said Conan before leaving his side to carry out his order. Konoha Hospital at the moment. What do you mean his spine is still severed? Said Jiraiya while glaring heavily at the doctor in charge of his sensei's recovery. Or lack of recovery at the moment. We tried to heal the spinal injury, but the severing of nerves was not only clean through, there was also a residual dark energy of some kind that makes any attempt at repairing the injury impossible. I have never seen anything like it. When an attempt was made to heal the injury, there was some kind of backlash of energy that burned my hand, and made it impossible to continue, said the doctor, as he showed the burned hand to Jiraiya, and the Toad Sannin just scowled at it. So you're saying my sensei's spine can't be healed? For how long? Said Jiraiya while getting the feeling he wasn't going to like the answer. Forever, I'm afraid. The dark energy that's attached itself to his spine where the severing occurred is not showing signs of fading, and it is possible that this energy is feeding off his chakra in some manner to sustain itself, said the doctor, as he saw Jiraiya getting angrier by the minute, and didn't like the results. That brat. When I get my hands on him, thought Jiraiya before turning to see the one person he didn't expect to see in Konoha again. Senju Tsunade herself. Thinking about your past mistakes, Jiraiya, said Tsunade with a smirk on her face while Jiraiya's continued to scowl. Something like that. Why are you even here, Tsunade? Where's Shizune and Tonton? Said Jiraiya while noticing the two were not with his former female teammate. They're running errands for me elsewhere. As for why I'm here, can't a former student of Sensei's pay a visit, and tell him to get well soon? Said Tsunade while having overheard the doctor's failure regarding the surgery to heal the former Hokage's back. Depends on the student and their loyalty to him, said Jiraiya while Tsunade frowned slightly. My only loyalty is to family now, Jiraiya. Shizune, Tonton, and of course anyone on my grandmother's side of the Uzumaki family tree still alive, said Tsunade while Jiraiya sucked in a quick breath knowing she was referring to Naruto. I had almost forgotten Tsunade's part Uzumaki. Damn. Thought Jiraiya while seeing the woman smirk further like she just read his mind. So where is the old fart? I have things to do and I'm not going to spend the whole day dealing with a delirious old man hopped up on pain medication, said Tsunade seeing Jiraiya jerk his head back like he had been slapped. Show some respect, Tsunade. The man was our sensei, said Jiraiya while a hint of anger was in his moderately even tone. The very same sensei, who you helped assist in betraying me, and every Uzumaki in the world. Why should I respect a man who would betray me and my family for the belief that Jinchuriki are nothing more than weapons to be deprived of their loved ones? Tell me, Jiraiya, if the old man ordered you to turn your child into a Jinchuriki, would you do it without protest, and then deny the child altogether? Said Tsunade while seeing the man scoff and walk away. I don't deal with hypothetical possibilities, Tsunade. Any such window for having a child with that special someone has long since been closed, so the question is completely mute, said Jiraiya, as he walked away, and heard the hollow laughter coming from Tsunade's throat. You barker. Do you know why I chose to deny your advances? To turn down every single offer you threw at me for a date. It wasn't because of your perverted ways. It was due to the fact I knew you were unfit to be my boyfriend, lover, future husband, and father of any child I might want. I could see it in your eyes the moment you first asked me. I chose Dan because unlike you, he would have made me happy, and not done something stupid like betraying our godson. Said Tsunade while Jiraiya snapped his head around so fast you'd think he broke his neck in certain places with a scowl on his face before turning into a fake smile. And look what happened to him. He's dead because of it. Real shame too. Dan probably would have made a great Hokage and possible father too. Guess we'll never know, said Jiraiya at last and continued walking away while Sunad scowled now at his jab at Dan. At least he died honorably, Jiraiya, which is more than I can say about you, and the old bastard when this is all over, thought Sunad before walking towards the former third Hokage's room to have a little chat with him. Sarutobi Hiruzen's hospital room. I didn't expect you to come here, Sunad. Not after what Jiraiya told me of your current mood, said Hiruzen, seeing Sunad glaring at him and realized she still was in that kind of mood. The kind that hurt men where they were the most sensitive in protecting. Funny. I'm actually here because of my current mood. I heard a certain Uzumaki did this to you and felt the urge to see it for myself. Imagine my surprise at seeing the so-called kami of shinobi being reduced to this. An old paraplegic. Even then you give them all a bad name just by being one. Said Sunad, as she saw him scowl at her now, and was glad a figurative nerve was hit. You have a lot of nerve speaking to me like that, Sunad. Your grandfather would be ashamed of you, said Hiruzen while Sunad scowled back at him. Funny, I could say the same thing about you, sensei. I'm pretty sure he'd frown upon the idea of his wife's side of the family being almost completely annihilated in a genocidal way. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, sensei? I mean, in order for Konoha to have the Uzumaki bloodline being held exclusively in the village, it would have to do the unthinkable, and all for the purpose of holding Kyuubi within its prized Jinchuriki, said Sunad, seeing the old man's heartbeat on the machines increase greatly. I don't know what you're talking about, Sunad, said Hiruzen, but the machines hooked up to his body showed his spiked vital signs, which had long since exposed to Sunad that he knew the truth, and had no intention of admitting it to her. A liar until the end, I see. My godson learned the truth. I don't know how he found out, but the Gaki found out about what you and Danzo team did. Got to admit, you had just about everyone fooled, and making others believe the Leaf was in the right in the last war to fight Iwa. Did Orochimaru know? Was I the only one out of your 3 students kept in the dark about it because my grandmother was also an Uzumaki? Said Sunad, seeing the old man close his eyes for a second before reopening them again. Yes, Orochimaru knew. It's one of the reasons I spared him all those years ago. If you must know the truth, Sunad, the whole raid on his lab that day, was staged, said the old retired Hokage. Staged? You mean in exchange for his silence on the matter, Orochimaru could walk away from the Leaf, and perform his horrible experiments? Said Sunad, seeing the third Hokage nod. I made him swear it on the graves of his parents before we set our plans for the staged event, said Hiruzen, knowing Orochimaru would never defile his parents in any way since the deaths had been the drive for his pursuit of immortality. So out of all 3 of your students, I was kept in the dark knowing if I did know, there would be hell to pay, and you along with Danzo would be made to pay it. Coward, said Sunad, seeing the old man scoff at her. We did what had to be done, Sunad. Whirlpool had to fall so the Leaf could rise even further in power. Survival of the smartest, Sunad, said Hiruzen with the woman glaring heavily at him. Oh yes, I agree with you, sensei, but let's reflect, and see how that turned out. Your wife's dead, Kushina is dead, Minato is dead, their son has only recently made the Leaf look like a joke, and the village is no longer in the Fire Daimyo's good graces. The Leaf has lost several of its shinobi, who many had considered jokes, into being incredibly gifted, and made the so-called prodigies of the Leaf look like jokes in their place. Oh yes, the loss of a powerful ally in Whirlpool, and the Uzumakis was a huge success, sensei, said Sunad mockingly with sarcastic tones being played heavily in her voice. I don't expect someone with their blood in your veins to understand, Sunad. What I did was for the greatness of Konoha and ensuring our dominance being uncontested. I would do it again to every other village and country if it meant being unopposed in the long run with the spoils of our plans making us stronger, said Hiruzen while Sunad narrowed her eyes at him. You have the nerve to justify your actions in the near-genocidal slaughter of Whirlpool and the Uzumaki clan. Let me tell you something, sensei, I don't share your views, and there is nothing stopping me from telling this village's dirty little secret to the world. I wonder how people high up in other countries will feel when they learn Konoha betrayed a long-time ally and then blamed another village for it. Said Sunad while her former sensei glared daggers at her. You wouldn't dare. If that happens, the Leaf will be wiped out, and innocent people will die for revealing a truth to something very few are even alive to remember. Do you really want to reignite old grudges, Sunad? To bring further death where it's not needed? Said Hiruzen while daring Sunad to punish the innocent with the guilty. The innocent people don't have to die if all the people, who are guilty of the crime die, and pay for their sins against my grandmother's side of the family. Of course, you along with Danzo, and Kami knows how many people still alive from back then would never admit you're guilty. It goes against your foolish pride, said Sunad while the former Hokage of the Leaf hissed in pain at not being able to sit up better given his injuries. I will never admit guilt for what I set in motion with Whirlpool's demise, Kushina, and her son being turned into Jinchuriki for the purpose of becoming the property of the Leaf. Never, said Hiruzen angrily while Sunad just had an evil smile show on her face. That's good to hear, Sarutobi-sensei. Because now I don't have to feel any form of guilt when breaking every single bone in your body, and making you feel every ounce of pain that follows it right before I kill you. Said Sunad in a menacing tone, as she cracked her knuckles one at a time, and channeled chakra to her fists while her mind went over the human body. And how to hurt her intended target in the most painful ways, crippled already from the waist down or not. Gato Kanpani, you confirmed the chakra armor that Doto shipped is authentic, said Darth Sage to Haku, who nodded her head, and showed him the report the technicians employed made when studying them. Yes, it is. However, we learned through trial and error that once the armor is worn must be kept away from another wearer. If that happens, the chakra armor becomes unstable, and explodes while killing the wearers. 2 technicians accidentally found that out the hard way, said Haku while the Sith narrowed his eyes at the report. Doto knew, said Darth Sage in a quiet voice while reading over that part of the report. I imagine so, all things considered, Master. The tests show the chakra armor does what we had fully expected it to do, but there are certain end results showing the armor itself has limits, and is vulnerable to taijutsu after Rock Lee sparred against Yugito when she wore it. Hyuga Hinata was there to use her Byakugan to see Roshi use ninjutsu on the chakra armor and successfully absorb the attack, said Haku seeing him still scanning the report. So it did as advertised. That's good. Still, the fault of taijutsu being a weakness doesn't lie so much with the chakra armor itself, but the wearer relying on the armor to take hits, and not being fluent in that aspect. Something I won't tolerate with its uses. Have a tech team analyze the chakra armor to combat that weakness of multiple wearers being close to each other. Make sure the techs work their way around the particular weakness should those using them be forced to fight in close quarters, said Darth Sage, as he saw Haku nod, and knew she'd fix the problem in some manner. Sage-sama, the new contract is here from the movie production company, said a female secretary, as she knocked first before entering, and politely bowed in his presence. Excellent. Return to your duties while I review the contents of the contract, said Darth Sage with the secretary bowing, glancing at Haku for a second, and then leaving with a hint of jealousy aimed at the female ice user. Whether for Haku being so beautiful at such a young age or being close to the chairman of the company was undetermined though. What contract? Said Haku curiously, as she watched his eyes scan the contents of each paper, and then smiled before he went to the last page to sign. This contract is for Gato Kanpani to financially assist in the filming of the latest Princess Foon movie and monopolizing the advertising of the film being shot in exchange for a nice-sized chunk of the money made. The other previous Princess Foon movies did very well and I just so happen to be a fan of the famous actress playing Princess Foon, said Darth Sage with a smile at the end with Haku doing the same. It should be a well-placed investment then, said Haku, as she saw him finish signing the contract, and making deal official. Indeed. Make sure this gets duplicated before being sent to the actress Fuji Kazuki, her manager, and the film company, said Darth Sage, as he handed it to Haku, and saw her bow before leaving with the documents in hand. Playing both sides I see, said Darth Plagueis, as he knew the real reason why his Sith apprentice was investing in this movie, and not just because he was a fan of the actress. My spies serve me well. Doto may get loyalty through intimidation, but we both know that way only lasts for so long, and even then I prefer to use the power of greed to get people to tell me things. It's even more powerful when the spies are not only greedy, but desperate for cash, and are willing to get it by any means necessary. Fuji Kazuki's manager is the leader of the rebels fighting against Doto in Snow Country and has been protecting her from the tyrant, thought Darth Sage, knowing the old man had a very good reason for that. And for good reason too. Doto killed her father and previous daimyo of the country to rule over it. Is it with your species that makes them lack finesse? Said QB while the young Sith apprentice just shrugged. I don't know QB. Wish I did, thought Darth Sage before letting out a sigh and then went back to working on how to expand his influence over the elemental countries. Lightning and Earth Country were going to be difficult given his past discretions. Undisclosed location. How are your injuries and eyes? Said Jiraiya, sitting across from the figure that if many saw speaking with him would create a scandal. Fine. I'll live. I understand there is a mission you want me to undertake for the good of the leaf while using my cover as a member of the Akatsuki, said Itachi, sipping some tea with the Sannin. Yes. You are aware of the situation the lead is in with Uzumaki Naruto, correct? Said Jiraiya, seeing the Uchiha twitch slightly out of reflex from what happened in their last encounter. The boy has the favor of the Fire Daimyo along with several influential people all over the elemental countries, said Itachi, with Jiraiya scowling at that. And he's wanted by the Akatsuki on account of being a Jinchuriki, said Jiraiya while Itachi nodded. That is true, said Itachi while getting an idea of what Jiraiya was getting at. I need you to kill him. Kill him and Kyuubi without the Akatsuki getting the fox, said Jiraiya, with Itachi keeping his emotionless face from revealing anything. It won't be easy to kill someone of Naruto's abilities. There is also the issue of you being able to protect me from the Akatsuki once they find out what I've done, said Itachi, with Jiraiya nodding, knowing it would be difficult given an organization consisting of S-class missing nin were going to be a pain deal with. We'll deal with that when the time comes. What about your partner? Can you keep him off your back long enough to do it? Said Jiraiya while Itachi went over the calculations in his head. Yes, I can knock him out long enough to kill Naruto, but the fallout will not be pleasant since Kisam's death would soon follow the Kyuubi Jinchurikis, and show my allegiance is not to the organization itself, said Itachi, knowing one less member of the Akatsuki coming after him was much better than every single one. By that point, the confusion will give us enough time to get you somewhere safe, and possibly back into Konoha once we reveal you killed Naruto yourself, said Jiraiya while Itachi frowned slightly. I was under the impression the Fire Daimyo would become completely enraged by the leaf welcoming me back for killing the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, said Itachi while Jiraiya just smirked. Let's just say for now, Itachi-san, that there are ways around the Fire Daimyo's reactions, and with a little time can make him see things our way, said Jiraiya while Itachi frowned even further. Is he implying that there is a way to manipulate the Fire Daimyo? No. Impossible. Not even Jiraiya can do that, thought Itachi while watching the Sannin carefully. Besides, I doubt the feudal lord of Fire Country is going to complain about the kid's death once we've taken the other Jinchuriki looted from each village off the dead boy's hands to become Konoha's, said Jiraiya, as he would find them all eventually before the Akatsuki did, and after applying some means for re-education, well, there was nothing really stopping Konoha from being unopposed. You're playing a dangerous game, Jiraiya. Each and every one of those loyal to Naruto will not go quietly into the night. Their wrath will be legendary, said Itachi with Jiraiya nodding, since that was true given how the Yondaime sun seemed to make those like him gravitate towards his being, and any harm to Naruto would no doubt put those close to him into an intense rage like that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Until then, find out when is the best time to strike against Naruto, and to kill him. I'll do what I can in Konoha to get the idea at least considered by the higher-ups. Being a spy master, I can claim to getting a way to contact you in secret, and offer you a full pardon along with the ability to become an official Leaf Shinobi again in exchange for such a mission, said Jiraiya, knowing that the councils and clan heads would greatly consider the option if thrown out there. Sasuke still wants to kill me, I imagine, said Itachi, which provided a monkey wrench of sorts to the full pardon, and return home to be a Leaf Shinobi plan. Yeah, the little spars keeps going on and on about kill you along with needing power to do it. Kakashi is training him, but it only goes so far, and I hate to say this, but he's kind of the runt of your clan, said Jiraiya, seeing Itachi nod and sigh at the same time. Yes, I know. Sasuke takes after father in regards to ways of thinking and ability to grow stronger. Mother was much stronger than father, but much gentler heart, and retired from active duty. I inherited her strength despite what many people believe to the contrary, said Itachi with a smile while Jiraiya's jaw dropped. Wow, really? So, your mother said Jiraiya, seeing the smile on Itachi grow a bit more. She wore the pants in the marriage. When they coupled, my mother was the man in bed, and my father was not the pinnacle of masculinity he tried to make others believe he was, said Itachi, knowing that his mother ruled the house despite his father's constant smoke and mirror ways of making it seem the opposite. Itachi's father even had property of Uchiha Mikoto branded on his ass, but the way it was done would only reveal itself to the Sharingan, and possibly the Byakugan if a single Hyuga focused on that region. Wow. That's, well, wow, said Jiraiya while stunned by this. Don't tell anyone or you'll suffer the effects of my eyes. I'll turn you into a homosuil if I need to get the point across, said Itachi with Jiraiya waving his hands up in surrender when the threat came. Secrets safe. Take to my grave. Promise, said Jiraiya quickly, knowing Itachi could carry out the threat if he wanted to and the Sannin would be powerless to stop him. Good. I should take my leave now. Kisame will begin to get suspicious if I don't return soon, said Itachi after finishing his tea and leaving. Neither noticed a bird made of paper in a nearby tree overhearing everything before it flew away. Akatsuki HQ. So Itachi made a deal with Jiraiya to kill the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. How disappointing to hear, said Pain, as he had always been cautious of Itachi and the other members. It would appear so. How do you want to handle this? Said Conan, seeing Pain close his eyes for a second in thought before opening them. For now, Itachi is useful to the organization, but when it comes to the mission of going after Uzumaki Naruto, let Kisame know the Uchiha has to die, and handle it quietly. If he asks for a reason, it's because I wish it so, and not to question my orders, said Pain with Conan nodding since Kisame would question it. Kisame is strong, but he may lose to Itachi, and his Sharingan, said Conan seeing the man nod. Doesn't matter. Kisame has no place in the world once peace has been made. Even if Itachi wins, he knows his time with the organization is finished, and will seek to end the life of Uzumaki Naruto before returning to the Leaf. If the boy is as strong as I think he is, then Itachi will die, and both problems will be solved within days of each other. If Kisame wins, he has orders to go after the Kyuubi Jinchuriki alone, and with any luck the former 7 swordsmen of the mist will die, said Pain, as he planned to liquidate the organization's members, and remove certain individuals that only thrive in turmoil while unable to enjoy peace. I'll set it in motion, said Conan, bowing and leaving Pain once again. Soon, my long-lost cousin. Soon we will achieve peace, and through your help the hidden shinobi villages will fall in the process. The world has no need for them anymore. All of them bring about more misery, hate, violence, and death to this world. It can't take much more. Together, we will finally bring peace and stability to this world, by any means necessary. Thought Pain, as he knew the boy was a lot like him, and would go to any lengths to achieve his goals once set at his feet. Once an Uzumaki set themselves down a certain path, whether it was good or bad for the elemental countries, nothing short of Kami himself could do anything to stop them. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.